I think certainly being focused on something that you're confident will have high value to someone else, and just being really rigorous in making that assessment,
Mhm.
because people tend to a natural human tendency is wishful thinking. So a challenge for entrepreneurs is to say, well, what's the difference between really believing in your ideals and sticking to them versus pursuing some unrealistic dream that doesn't actually have merit? And that is a really difficult thing to tell. Can you tell the difference between those two things?
Right.
So you need to be sort of very rigorous in your self analysis. I think certainly extremely tenacious, and then just work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in 80 to 100-hour weeks every week,
Gosh,
and
it's a
then
lot of work.
all those things improve the odds of success.
Okay.
Um, I
Right.
mean, if other people are putting in 40-hour work weeks and you're putting in 100-hour work weeks, then even if you're doing the same thing, you know that in 1 year you will achieve what they achieve. You will achieve in 4 months what it takes them a year to achieve.
You ought to be happy where you are working. And I always worry about people who say, I'm going to do this for 10 years. I really don't like it very well, and then I'll do 10 more years of this. I mean, that's a little like saving up sex for your old age. I mean, not a very good idea.
When I started Microsoft, I didn't think of it as all that risky.
You've always got a job with me, Bill.
And the thing that was scary to me wasn't quitting and starting the company. It was when I started hiring my friends and they expected to be paid.
So I have one little suggestion for you. Pick out the person in the class that you admire the most, and then write down why you admire them. Put down a list of qualities. You're not to name yourself in this, incidentally. And then put down the one that, frankly, you could stand the least in the whole group, and put down the qualities that turn you off in that person. Then look at that list, and you won't find it's a bunch of things like throwing a football 70 yards or anything of the sort. The qualities of the first one that you admire are qualities that you, with a little practice, can make your own, and which, if practiced, will become habit forming. The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. I mean, my age, I can't change any of my habits. I mean, I'm stuck. But at your age, you will have the habits 20 years from now that you decide to put into practice today. So I just suggest that you look at the habits you admire in others, or the behavior you admire in others, and make those your own habits, and you look at what you really find somewhat reprehensible in others, and just decide, those are things you're not going to do. Ben Franklin did that a few hundred years ago, and it still works today. And if you do that, you'll find that you convert all your horsepower into output.
Is that, no company gets to rest on its laurels. IBM was as dominant or more dominant than any company will ever be in technology. That's just not going to happen again. And they had the smartest people, and they had all the customer feedback, and yet they missed a few turns in the road. And so that makes you wake up every day thinking, let's try to make sure today's not the day we miss the turn in the road. Let's find out what's going on in speech recognition. Let's go find out what's going on in artificial intelligence. Let's make sure we're hiring in the kind of people who can pull those things together and make sure we don't get surprised. Sometimes we do get taken by surprise. For example, the internet came along, and we had it sort of as a fifth or sixth priority. It wasn't like somebody said internet to me and I said, I don't know how to spell that. I said, yeah, I got that on my list, I'm okay. But there came a point where we realized it was happening faster, and it was a much deeper phenomena than it had been recognized in our strategy. And so that was a case where, as an act of leadership, I had to create a sense of crisis and have a couple months where we all just threw ideas and sent electronic mail around, went on a bunch of retreats, and then eventually coalesced around a few ideas where we said, okay, here's what we're going to do, here's how we're going to measure ourselves internally, and here's what the world should think, here's what we're going to tell them about what we're going to do. And that kind of crisis is likely to come up every 3 or 4 years or so,